Einstein and his contemporaries discovered what mystics and metaphysicians had known for thousands of years, which is that everything is energy. What they're only beginning to discover is that all that energy that is everything is one, and that it's conscious. I'm going to go through a fair amount of stuff tonight and just hit as much as I can. First, I want to talk about something that the Theosophists taught, which is that as everything is energy, and energy is vibration, vibrations go higher and higher and higher. Their principle was that there are various planes of existence, and also that we have different bodies, different expressions of ourselves that vibrate at those levels. And they said there's an astral level, which is the emotional level. There's a mental level, which astral level is where we have feelings and excitement and fear and all of the things that go with on the astral plane. At the mental plane, we have thoughts and concepts, and it's where we're able to logically discern consequences. Then there is the soul level. The soul level is where our Akashic records for our various incarnations are stored. And then beyond that, at the highest level of vibration is spirit, and then it goes all the way up until it blends with the one. A lot of people, I remember when we introduced you to your astral body, and a lot of people aren't, the thing is that what we do is we expand our consciousness to include those. And normally, when we're kids, we're functioning pretty much entirely at the physical and astral levels. And then we begin to learn, and we begin to deal with concepts and things, and we begin to expand our consciousness into the mental plane. And then we begin to have spiritual experiences, and our consciousness begins to experience in the soul plane. So what we're going to do is a quick exercise. Normally we'd spend about 15 minutes on this, but we're going to do it quicker than that to give you a chance to experience your various bodies. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to first do a mantra. And this mantra basically is a cleansing mantra and a calming. And I'm going to ask you to do it with me. It's called Om Ahum. And basically what you do is you take a deep breath in, and on the out breath you go Om for the full breath. Then you take a deep breath in, and you, on the out breath, do Ahum and hit the H kind of hard. And that's it. And we're going to do it 3 times. So here we go. Take just a moment and notice your energies, and notice if there is any difference between where your energies were 45 seconds ago and now. Because the purpose of this is learning to monitor your energies and learning to affect them to your benefit. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a brief meditation. I'm going to ask you to affirm that you're raising your vibrations, and I'm going to ask you to center in your astral body, then your mental body, your soul, and your spirit. And we'll spend about 45 seconds at each level. And what I want you to do is notice, are you comfortable there? Do you notice any difference? What is it? So, close your eyes, relax, and affirm to say to yourself, you can do it silently, 3 times, I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. And say to yourself, I'm centered in my astral body. I am centered in my astral body. I am centered in my astral body. Notice what it feels like to be centered in your astral body. In your imagination, look out through your astral eyes at your astral hands. In your astral body voice, say to yourself, this is the sound of my astral body voice. As you become familiar with your astral body and you listen to the voice of your emotional nature, you'll be able to know when it's your emotional nature that's speaking to you, when the voice in your head is your astral body. Now affirm to yourself 3 times, I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. I am centered in my mental body. I am centered in my mental body. I am centered in my mental body. Notice what it feels like to be centered in your mental body, the realm of thought, the realm of concepts and ideas and inspiration. Are you comfortable here? Are you confident here? Are you kind here? Look out through the eyes of your astral body at your astral body hands. With your astral body hands, touch your astral body face. In the voice of your astral body, say to yourself, this is the sound. In the voice of your mental body, say to yourself, this is the sound of my mental body voice. Affirm to yourself, I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. I am centered in my soul body. I am centered in my soul body. I am centered in my soul. Notice what it's like to be centered in your soul. Are you familiar here? Are you comfortable here? Look out through the eyes of your soul body. Look at your soul body hands. In your soul body voice, say to yourself, this is the voice of my soul body. This is the voice of my soul. Affirm to yourself, I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. I am raising my vibrations. I am centered in my spirit body. I am centered in my spirit body. I am centered in my spirit. Notice what it's like to be centered in your spirit body. How is it different? Look out through your spirit body eyes at your spirit body hands. With your spirit body hands, touch your spirit body face. In the voice of your spirit body, say to yourself, this is the sound of my spirit body voice. This is the sound of my spirit. Now, if you will, take a moment and allow yourself to comfortably, easily return to normal waking consciousness. And when you feel that you have returned to normal waking consciousness, take a deep breath and open your eyes. Okay. That's getting in touch with the parts of yourself that exist at the subtler levels. And it's an introduction to a wider world, because the degree to which you can expand your consciousness, and one of the things that you can do is you can center in one of those other bodies and then encompass your consciousness at that level so that you have a sense of it. And then, like blowing one breath into a balloon, you can expand your consciousness at that level. And then your awareness will begin to fill it in. And so you can, in effect, grow at these other levels. I'm going to tell on TJ. TJ was very uncomfortable in her astral body when we used to do this. We did this every week for 5 years. And she was like, no, I don't like that. But as she became comfortable there, you become more aware of yourself and more accepting of yourself at these various levels. And then the consciousness bleeds from level to level, so that because at the denser vibrations, love is a very different energy at the soul planes or at the spirit planes than it is at the astral level. But if you can experience it at those levels, it changes how you express love all the way down.
Sometimes you want to hang out and you want I
Yes.
love the soul.
Yes. Now, we've talked about the fact that everything is energy, and we've talked about that we exist at these other energy levels. Like our physical body, you need fuel. And so we're going to talk about how we can bring in energy at the energy levels. Because we do it unconsciously. We do it when we step into the sunshine. We do it when we do something that excites us or generates us. And unfortunately, people also suck it from other people. In most instances, it's not because they're trying to be a vampire. It's because they have no idea how to bring the brighter, happier, higher energies into their lives. Now, what the ancients, most notably the Greeks, did is they divided all energy into what they called elements. Traditionally, the primary four were earth, air, water, and fire. And a lot of the metaphysicians added ether, which is how those other higher energies move into the physical. We're going to do a meditation, or you can pull in these energies through visualization and affirmation and breath. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a meditation. You're welcome to do it here, but when you do it at home, I recommend that you say it out loud. You can hear, if you don't want to, you can just say it internally, but if you want to say it out loud, that's just fine. The thing about saying something out loud, when I say I'm pulling in the earth element, if I simply think it, it doesn't get all the way down to the physical. But if I affirm it, if I literally say it out loud, I vibrate physical plane air molecules, and it earths it more than if you simply do it internally. So whenever you do an affirmation, I always recommend that you verbalize it.
Pat, can I say something? A lot of the stuff that he's going to say, including this affirmation, you'll get at the end of the
Everything we're doing tonight, I've got a handout that covers it. And so, oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, so note takers feel free to note take, but every practice we're doing and some more is here.
I know, I do the same thing.
I don't hand them out because I don't want people to read ahead. Okay, what we're going to do is you can close your eyes, and we're going to breathe in each of these elements. If you notice a difference, notice it. If you don't worry about it. If you keep doing the practice, you will notice a difference. At least that has been my experience. Okay, so close your eyes and say to yourself or aloud, I attune to the earth element. I attune to the earth element.
I attune to the earth element.
I attune to the earth element.
I attune to the earth element.
With my next breath, I fill myself full with the earth element.
With my next breath, I feel myself full with the earth element.
And so then breathe in the earth element and feel, you can smell dirt if you're doing it right. The earth element is grounding and solid. Now, after you finish that breath, say to yourself, or say, with my next breath, I fill myself full with the earth element.
With my next breath, I feel myself full.
And then take a deep breath. And then finally, with my next breath, I fill myself full with the earth element. And imagine the earth element filling you full from your toes to the top of your head, filling you full with rich earth element. Now, say, I attune to the water element.
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 With my next breath, I fill myself full with the water element.
With my next
And imagine yourself filling up with water. Breathe out, and as you breathe in, say, with my next breath, I fill myself full with the water element. And one last time, with my next breath, I fill myself full with the water element. And now say, I attune to the air element. I attune to the air element. I attune to the air element. With my next breath, I fill myself full with the air element. With my next breath, I fill myself full with the air element. And breathe out, and then with my next breath, I fill myself full with the air element. As you do these, notice the difference from one element to the next. Affirm, I attune to the fire element. I attune to the fire element. I attune to the fire element. With my next breath, I fill myself full with the fire element. Now, again, when you come back to normal waking consciousness, notice your energies. Do you notice a difference? Now, that's one of the simple ways that requires no tools, nothing to pull in energies and increase your energy. If you're hot, you can pull in water. If you're cold, you can pull in fire. You'll develop an affinity for each of the elements for what you have we have a tendency to get drained in one more than others, and you'll learn what pulling in each of them has an effect. The other ways, what?
One of the things that was really helpful to me is some of us, and I have a tendency to do this, I can fly really high up there, and it gets difficult for me to function in time-space reality sometimes. And so, just I'm pulling in the earth element, I'm pulling in the earth element, I'm smelling the dirt,
It's grounding.
I can, and I can feel my feet in the grass, and I can smell the grass in it. So it's really very effective.
And that is an excellent segue into the next way to pull in energy, which is you go out and you plant your bare feet in the grass or on the dirt, and you just allow that energy to rise up into you. Nature is phenomenal for pulling in energies. There's a wonderful book by a man named Joseph Weed called The Wisdom of the Mystic Masters, which basically is based on the Rosicrucian teachings. And he talks about going out and find a pine tree and just put your hand up to the ends of the needles and allow that energy to flow into you. Another way to pull in energy is through gemstones. Gemstones are basically batteries of different energies. This is rose quartz. It's a very soothing, loving energy, and I'm just going to pass that around. Feel free to hold it and see how it works. This is just quartz, regular crystal quartz. It's a good general energy. And this is lapis lazuli, which is really, really good with the throat chakra and with emotional energies. There are a number of really good books that can tell you about things you can do with these energies. I'll send that one around. All of these are ways to replenish your energies. Now, excuse me just a second. We live and breathe and move in a sea of energy. And so does everybody else. And we're constantly interacting with people. And to the degree that you do not control it, their energy, you're walking through their auras. Who here walks out of Walmart feeling as good as they felt when they walked in?
Not I.
Who here walks into Walmart feeling good?
Me?
It's called hope.
The point is, we all, being who we are, we know a lot of people. We know that all of them aren't happy. Even the ones who are happy aren't happy all of the time. Have you ever been in a room and someone walked into it and the energy changed? You know, it can change for the better, or it can change for the worse. We discussed earlier the fact that people take energies from other people. If you've ever been in a room with somebody and walked out of that room 15 minutes later, and when you walked into it, you felt fine, and when you left the room, you left it on your hands and knees. It's simply them. They're going, oh my God, that energy! You're so happy. You're so nice to be around. And there are people who will simply say that and not take your energies, but there are people who will say that, and if you feel like crap when you leave that room, you want to notice that happened. And that's so much a part of what we're talking about in energy management, is being aware of your energies. Most of us don't know what just our energies feel like, because we're so interactive with so many people, and we don't do anything to get back to the state of just being us. The next thing, in addition to being able to talking about protecting our energies, is they get dirty. The example that I use is you get a 3-year-old and they've been out playing in the mud, and they come into the house, and within a fairly quick period of time, the house and you are just as muddy as they were. This happens at an energy level, and most people don't manage it. Now you sit there and you think, if you were interacting with someone who had just been down in and cleaning out a septic tank, and they came out and said, give me a hug. There's nobody who wouldn't say, let's do that in a few minutes. And who wouldn't protect themselves? And if they got a hug, if they shook their hand or whatever, who wouldn't immediately go wash and cleanse themselves, so that what this person had been involved in won't affect them. There's a time when we have to go down into a septic tank, and because something impacts us, because something upsets us, and then our energies are trashed out. And what we need to do is have some things that we can do to cleanse. The first and foremost easiest thing to do, you've already done this evening. I'm raising my vibrations. Affirming that you're raising your vibrations is getting your consciousness up above the gunk. And then that allows you to do other things to get the gunk off. Now, we've talked about this as if it were something physical, like you walk through somebody's aura and you pick something up. But we exist at these other levels. And if someone is generating energy about you, if you pissed them off, that energy is real. Not only is it real, it's directed. And if you don't do anything, if you're sensitive enough to pick it up, most of us, unfortunately, well, or actually probably fortunately, most of us, our protection is that we're completely and totally oblivious to what's going on. And we have protections built in. We come home, we go to bed, we sleep, and we and our inner plane guides and the universe gives us a chance to take care of it. But we can do it in consciousness. We can actively cleanse, and we can protect ourselves. In addition to the thoughts that someone generates, when someone generates a thought, if they generate a whole bunch of it, if they generate a lot of it, or if a lot of people generate the same thought, it generates an energy being called a thought form. And it gets fed every time somebody gets pissed off at Biden or gets pissed off at Trump. There's this enormous whirlwind out there of those thoughts that they are feeding. And people get caught up in them. My wife, who passed away, and I went into Haverty's in Dallas to look for some furniture. And we weren't looking for anything in particular, so we're just wandering around looking at everything. And after about 10, 15 minutes there, she found herself thinking these thoughts of, he never buys me anything. And there are all these things I'd like to have, and he just doesn't want, I never get anything. And I found myself thinking, she just wants and wants and wants, and there's no end to what and we went. Fortunately, because she and I both had been doing this stuff for a while, went, this isn't us. These are not our energies. But here is this place where all these men had been in there thinking exactly that, and all of these women had been in there thinking exactly theirs, and nobody cleaned it up. And it was just sitting there waiting for anybody who wanted to who wanted furniture and walked in and didn't have the self-awareness to recognize that those were not their energies.
It's like stepping. It's like, I think of it as like an energy stream. It's like there's these streams of energy of anger and upset, or he never buys me anything, or she's so selfish, she wants to spend all my money, and those energy streams are there.
They're whirlpools is what they actually are.
And we can move into them, or we can step into them, and all of a sudden you're like, why am I so mad?
And if you don't know,
it's like getting dumped in a river, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta get out.
if you don't know what your energy feels like, it's very difficult for you to know that that's not your anger or that's not your sadness.
Pat always says, when he started, and he said this many, many times, is this mine?
My first question, whenever I encounter anything, particularly something that's negative or disturbing to me, is why is this in my life? But my second question is it mine? And I'll pull my pendulum out and go, is this mine? And if it's not, just let it go. But I have to be able to know my energies and to separate myself from it. The last thing I'm going to touch on this, and then I'm going to come back to it because I want to talk about how to deal with it. I met Janet, and I liked her, and she liked me, and we loved to talk. And so we start talking with each other, and we start sharing, and these energies are flowing back and forth. And then they build. When two people interact and energy flows from one to the other, an energy pathway begins to build. And like water flowing through a pipe, the things that are in the water begin to collect on the inside of the pipe, and pretty soon there's a pipe inside the pipe. These are called rapport lines. And they can be anything. They can be love. They can be excitement. They can be sexual. But when the energy flows in large amounts, pretty soon they're built. And there are these rapport lines that are built. You can damage them when someone does something that's a betrayal. The other person can just jerk back those rapport lines, and all of a sudden you're sitting there going, I can't get through to them anymore. You can go in on the inner, and especially with help from your inner plane guides, restore the rapport lines. And that's one of the problems with rapport lines, is you can break them. The next thing is, anybody here ever have a relationship that ended and you couldn't get that person out of your mind, and you couldn't get free of the energies of it was like it just kept coming, or they were very upset with you and you kept feeling like you were getting this garbage from them? Anybody ever had an experience like that? How would you like to have a way to deal with it? Is there somebody here who is willing to tell me that they had an experience like that and give me their name and the name of the person that had it, that did it, so that I could do a process?
I will.
You will? Okay. What we're gonna do is we're going to cut the rapport lines, I'm assuming it's okay with you if this isn't there anymore.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's an inner plane guide that I got from Franz Barden's Practice of Magical Evocation, who I use in this, but you can use your angels or whoever you want to. When I say cut, come on out here.
Is this one of those magic tricks?
I promise I won't touch you. Or hit one either.
Okay.
Okay, your name is TJ. What is the name of the individual? Okay. By the power of my ineffable name, I charge the sword with the power of the sword Excalibur for the purpose of severing the ties between two. By the power of my ineffable name, I charge this sword with the power of the sword Excalibur for the purpose of severing the ties between two. By the power of my ineffable name, I charge this sword with the power of the sword Excalibur for the purpose of severing the ties between. Okay, put your arms out straight. Bring them down. I'm not as spry as I used to be. You just want to be sure that you cover each of the dimensions. Lean on my shoulder and stick your foot out. Up, because I'm going to cut underneath it.
Ah.
other foot. I call the Lord, say a lie. I call the Lord, say a lie. I call the Lord, say a lie. I ask that you burn back to their source all connections, ties, and rapport lines between T.J. Forrester and Billy Meeks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's my will, so let it be. Okay, that's... I will be interested to hear how things develop.
I will too.
It's just-
Pat's done this for me several times in different things. and I don't know. How long have we known each other? 10, 12 years? I don't know. We were friends for years before we got romantically connected, but
I think
it's been very
I think
powerful.
every divorce lawyer ought to have somebody in their office that's capable of doing that.
Do you always have to have the person that you're doing this for, like TJ, so you need to do this in person? Or can someone stand in for that person? I'm just asking.
Good question.
I have never done it without that. And because it literally goes down to the physical, like if you don't get under their feet, you're not going to get all the ties.
Okay.
So I mean, you can try it and see.
I bet you there would be a way, I think you would definitely have to have the other person's permission. But I bet you could figure out an energetic way to do that.
Yeah, I've just never done it.
It's a good question.
I've done similar things for other people, and I don't know, it's kind of just, a lot of people do it, but with candles, you kind of start it with, information for each person to kind of meditate and get their energy into each candle, and then put a cord tying them, and as the flames burn down, the cord will burn off, and the candles will be separate, and that can kind of be represented as your energy separating. That's how I've always done it. I don't know. This is
There
probably
are a lot of different processes for binding someone away from harm or whatever, and I found this one to be effective, and I can do it for me. But I've seen other things. People do things with dolls and a number of things. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is protecting yourself. How to keep your energies separate so that you have the ability to isolate your energies from other people's energies so that you don't get gunked up and so that you can stay you. First thing relative to them is shields. There are a whole bunch of different ways to do shields. But it's done through visualization and or affirmation. And you visualize just a bubble. You can visualize a mirror shield around yourself that sends the energies back. You can even build, if somebody's generating a bunch of energy at you, you can build a shield around them that's mirrored on the inside and attuned to your energies that sends your energies, that the energies that they're generating about you back to them. You may want to take it down, because if you're good at building shields, you can make them sick. But also make sure that you deal with it being mirroring back only their energies toward you, because you don't have a right to mirror back to them anybody else's energies. The shield that I've found that I like most for me, when I spent 15 years working at AT&T, and every day as I walked into the AT&T office, I built the shield. And what it was if you pictured like a ring around me in this sphere, and then another ring around me in this sphere, and another ring around me in this sphere, and another ring around me in this sphere, and pictured them all twirling. There's this active thing where it's not only constantly it works like a sphere, it actually works like 4 spheres inside each other, but it's actively, literally cutting the energies. And that worked very well for me. And with any shield that you build, the more you build it, the more energy is going to be in it, and the stronger it's going to be. Shielding your car and your home. And do it regularly. You'll reach a point where it's pretty much self-sustaining. But that's not going to be after a week.
We do this when the thunderstorms come through, and it's amazing. It's like, okay, there's a thunderstorm, we're supposed to get hail. And Pat will do the voodoo that he does, and I do the voodoo that I do, and it's amazing how often the storms, we may get a few branches blown off or something, but it really is
Yeah.
powerful.
Now, I want to talk about how you clean up. Because we talked about protection.
Wait, does anybody just close their left hand?
What?
It works for me. I just close my left hand if I'm dealing
That's
with somebody.
interesting. I like that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
idea, go ahead.
Yeah, if there's somebody that I know that has a negative energy or dark energy, I recognize it immediately, and I'm gonna close my hand on you. I just very nonchalantly just close my left hand and okay.
That's why
The-
you don't ball your fists up at somebody. 'Cause
The premise, it goes back to an ancient teaching that energy leaves through our right hand and comes in through our left hand. And so the left hand is shutting. What I do, anybody ever seen this? This is what I do. If I'm sitting with somebody and they're really negative, do both hands, and it works like a charm. I'm sorry, what?
It's interesting that you use your left hand because in literature, wickedness, wicked characters are usually represented by being left-handed. So it's almost like you're cutting off wickedness.
Oh, cool.
You're cutting off what?
Wickedness, because in literature,
Oh, got it.
evil
Okay.
characters are very often left-handed.
Got it, okay.
That's what sinister means.
It's really funny.
That's
I don't know if
French
you
for
have,
left.
like,
What?
Are
Are you serious?
Absolutely, and
friends or people if you're familiar with this,
and-
you can agree each other.
and look
I
at
think
the
it's
word
really
right.
funny. It's almost like instead of like
Yeah, okay.
closing it off, it's
Like
almost like
you're right,
Yes.
like good.
Yes.
you're
Okay.
reflecting
That's
energies
good.
with your face.
I hadn't thought of that.
Okay,
Ocular sinister.
They're evil in literature because it says from the
This is good to know.
OD and
so
OS.
10 people were actually considered possessed.
Still look at your prescription.
Oh my God.
the Om Ahum mantra that we started with is a good cleansing mantra. When Jean, my previous wife, who had passed away, and I taught when we had our students come in, we could always tell when it was time for class because we'd hear them on the front porch going, Om Ahum, declare their energies before they came in. Water. Water is cleansing. And if my energies are gunked up, I'll go to the faucet. Every time I shower, every time I bathe, both literally and symbolically, this water purges and cleanses from me all negativity, all evil, all perversion, all corruption, all destructivity, all darkness, all energies which are harmful or detrimental, negative or destructive to me or Janet or that which is ours. It's in the thing. Fire is marvelously cleansing. When I was out in the world a lot, I literally kept a candle burning. It was my negative burn-up candle. When I was in the presence of somebody that I was having difficulties with their negative energy, I'd say, both literally and symbolically, or I banish into that flame all energies and forces, elements, elementaries, projections, causes, influences, karma, karmic residue, drains, attacks, coming from or received from their name, they're to be burned up and consumed and eliminated from me and my home and that which is mine. And I didn't have to be where that candle was. That candle and I had this really nice relationship, and I could be across town getting chewed out by somebody, and their energy was off. Now, it's all I don't have the right to burn up their energy that doesn't have anything to do with me. You're going to get karma for that. But I do have the right to burn up their energy that is destructive toward me and directed at me.
One of the things, we had a very powerful friend of ours who chose to pass, but her name was Penny, and she was a massage therapist. But one of the things that she did at the end of every massage therapist appointment that she ever had, she would kind of, rub her hands down that person and off the feet, and then she had this, she was a shaman, and she had, what she explained to me was kind of like a huge vacuum. And she would feed it into that vacuum, and that vacuum would take it straight down to earth into this major crystal in the center of the planet and transmute that energy. And she would just swipe her hands off your body, put it in that vacuum, and boom, it just went down. And, there's a whole lot of different ways.
Generate a whirlpool and send it into another dimension. But now, another way to cleanse energy is stones. Smoky quartz and tourmaline, black tourmaline, are both phenomenal cleansing stones. Now, they will absorb the energy, however, they will not do it indefinitely, and you're going to need to cleanse your cleansing stones. There are a number of ways to do it. The one I like best is selenite. Selenite literally will absorb and transmute the negative energy. And by my front door, I have a large piece of selenite. There's this.
By every door.
By every door. There's this wonderful crystal store in Austin called Nature's Treasures. And I got this idea from this girl that worked there. And I was like, talking about using selenite to cleanse the thing. And she said, yep, but I just keep my tourmaline on a piece of selenite. So by each of our doors is a piece of tourmaline sitting on a piece of selenite. Now, in addition to stones, or cleansing stones with selenite, you can cleanse them with water, you can cleanse them with salt water, you can cleanse them with salt, and you can also leave them out in the moonlight. Those of you who are pagans, any extensions on how to use the moon for it?
With the water with the crystals, only certain crystals, research before you use water.
That's true, selenite will dissolve
Yes,
in water.
yes, most crystals that end with the "ite" will dissolve in water. So do not use
Oh,
water.
that's good information.
Okay, that's the cleansing. Next is ceremony. A guy named Al Manning wrote a bunch of metaphysical books back in the 60s. And he has a lemon ceremony that is just phenomenal, and it's in the notes. I used to do, when Jean was alive and I was working at AT&T, every Friday night was pizza night. And while I was going to get the pizza, she was doing the lemon ceremony to clear all the stuff from the week and from, when you're out there in a work environment. But the full ceremony is here. Let's see here.
You referenced the guy that you said wrote the book in there? I don't remember what you said.
I can't remember if I reference it here or not. Let's see here. Yes, Lemon Ceremony by Al G. Manning.
Okay.
Do you have the directions in there about cutting the lemon in half?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I'll just go over it. Let's see here.
This stuff really works.
On your altar, you have two candles. You have a lemon, a plate on which to place the lemon, a sharp knife, and a bowl of salt. You light the candles, you chant 9 times. Lovely, powerful Shiva, God of sweeping change, sweep away the lesser, shut it out of range. Leave the beauty and the light, bright and clean and fair. Remove all vibrations of misery and despair. Leave me fresh and bright and pure, holy as your own fine self, bright, complete, and sure. Lovely, powerful Shiva, my thanks to you I give, that from your sweeping power in beauty may we live. Then you cut the lemon into 3 pieces as you chant 9 times. So I do 3, cut, 3, cut. All spells against me congregate within this lemon. That's your fate. Sour spell to sour fruit, you must go there because it's your suit. Bound to this lemon evermore, each spell against me, that's your store. All in the lemon now I see, and as my will so let it be. Then you start sprinkling salt on the lemon pieces. You sprinkle salt on the lemon pieces as you chant 3 times. Uncrossed, uncrossed, this salt for me breaks up attacking energy within this sour lemon bound. Now kills all spells with salt and sound. As lemon dries in salt and air, I'm freed from harm and all despair. Uncrossed and happy now you see, and as my will so mote it be. Then you turn them over, sprinkle the salt again. While you say it 3 times, turn them over again, sprinkle it so that you've done it 9 times. Then when you're through, Spirit of the great white light, burn away my psychic night. Keep me in your loving care. Give me love and joy to share. Let me be a true maker of light who reveals what's good and right, that my light may be the light, saving others from the night. And you chant that 9 times. You snuff out your candles and express gratitude. And I have found this to just really, really be cleansing and effective. And because it takes a while for the lemon to dry out in the salt, it'll pull for a day or 2. And once a week has been all I've ever needed to do this.
He always uses white candles, and when he gets done, he just puts that tray like in a cabinet and lets it sit, and it just sits there with the lemons and all that kind of stuff. And then the next week he gets it out and he throws all that away.
And
he
if you're
uses 9 pennies, so he has pennies there, so you usually never have.
If you're
Every
doing-
time you say it once, you put the penny, and twice you put the second penny, 3 times, and that way you keep it.
if you're doing it for your family, you'll say, I'm looking for the right place to grab it. All spells against me congregate. All spells against me, and all spells against Janet, and all spells against my daughter so and so congregate within it. So instead of the me, you do everybody
You have
that
to
you're
name
doing it for.
And it's better if that person has your permission. I think.
Oh no, you shouldn't. You don't have the right to clean somebody up without their permission. For all you know, they're this close to hitting rock bottom and making the changes that this is in their life to turn them around for. Now, you don't have to say, "May I do a lemon ceremony for you?" But you can say, what I find works very well. First of all, I'll sit there and say, "Is this mine?" And most of the time I get, "No, it's not." And if I don't, I won't say a word. If they ask me, and in Lubbock what they're going to say is, "Would you pray for me?" And I'll be, "You betcha." And then I'll bring to bear what for me is prayer. If I get that it's mine and they haven't said anything, I'll usually ask 2 or 3 times because I really don't want to intrude in their life if it's not mine. But then I'll say, "May I pray for you?" And if they say yes, then I'll do it. Then I'll do that voodoo that I do.
Yeah, Kat does this for our adult children and stuff, and it's amazing, because they'll call and say, "Hey, can you do a lemon ceremony for me? This week's been really crappy." And he always says yes.
That's basically my spiel. Any questions? Yes.
Yes, I have a question. Earlier, you were talking